Welcome to Quiet Stories for the Heart.
The song hadn't crossed my mind in years. Not once. Not through birthdays, holidays, anniversaries, or all the ordinary Tuesdays that make up a life. Then one rainy afternoon, while driving home from the grocery store, it came on the radio. And suddenly, I wasn't 73 anymore. I was 19. It happened so quickly. One moment I was sitting at a red light watching windshield wipers sweep away the rain. The next, I was back in the summer of 1971. Back when the world felt bigger. Back when every decision seemed important. Back when I still believed life would unfold exactly as I planned. Funny how a song can do that. A few notes, a familiar melody, and an entire chapter of your life comes rushing back through a door you didn't even know was still there. His name was Michael. For a long time, he was the center of every dream I had. We met at a county fair one July evening. The air smelled like popcorn and cotton candy. Children ran between carnival rides while music drifted through the summer darkness. I was standing in line for lemonade when he accidentally bumped into me, or at least he claimed it was accidental. Years later, I suspected otherwise. "Sorry," he said, smiling. The kind of smile that made you forget whatever you were about to say. By the end of the evening, we'd talked for hours. By the end of the summer, I couldn't imagine my life without him. Young love has a way of turning ordinary moments into memories. A drive becomes an adventure. A song becomes yours. That was the song playing in my car now. The one Michael and I danced to all summer long. The one we promised we'd never forget. Somehow, we hadn't. Back then, we believed love could solve everything. But life had other plans. Michael joined the Navy, and I earned a scholarship nearly 1,000 miles away. In those days, distance was harder than it is now. Letters took time, phone calls were rare, and eventually we drifted apart. The last night we spent together, we parked beside the lake outside town, the same place we'd watched sunsets all summer long. Neither of us wanted to talk about leaving, so instead, we talked about everything else. Favorite movies, childhood memories, dreams, fears, all the things people say when they're trying not to acknowledge the thing that hurts most. Eventually, the radio played our song. Michael reached for my hand. Neither of us spoke. We just listened. And somehow, that silence said everything. When September arrived, so did goodbye. There was no betrayal or dramatic ending, just distance, time, and two lives moving in different directions. At first, we wrote every week, then every month, then less often, and eventually, not at all. That is how some love stories end, not with a crash, but with a slow fading, like a photograph left too long in sunlight. The traffic light turned green. A car behind me honked gently. I realized I had been sitting there lost in memory while the song continued playing softly through the speakers. I smiled to myself and drove on. The strange thing was that I didn't feel sad, not anymore. Time had softened the old questions and replaced them with gratitude for what had been. I eventually married, had children, built a beautiful life, not a perfect one. No life ever is. There were challenges, losses, unexpected detours, but there was also love. Real love. The kind built over decades instead of summers. The kind that survives mortgages and illnesses and sleepless nights with crying babies. The kind that becomes part of who you are. And yet, hearing that song reminded me that our hearts are large enough to carry many versions of love. The first love, the lasting love, the love that stayed, and the love that taught us something before letting us go. When I arrived home, I sat in the driveway for a few extra minutes after the song ended. Rain tapped softly against the windshield. The world felt quiet, peaceful. I thought about Michael, about that summer. About two young people standing at the edge of their futures, believing they could somehow hold on to everything. Then I thought about the life that actually happened. The life waiting for me inside the house. The memories I had built since then. The people I had loved. The person I had become. And I realized something. The song hadn't taken me back because I was meant to live there again. It had taken me back so I could appreciate how far I'd come. Sometimes memories aren't invitations to return. They're reminders of who we were, what we learned, and how every chapter helped shape the life we have now. I finally turned off the engine and stepped out into the rain. Before heading inside, I looked up at the gray sky and smiled. Summer, I hope hoped Michael had lived a good life. I hoped he found happiness and smiled when he heard that song. And then, with gratitude instead of regret, I walked toward the front door. The music had ended, but the memory remained beautiful. Like an old song on the radio that somehow still knows exactly how to find your heart.